How's it going, everybody? Lawler here, and going to be explaining what's going down with the first regional for Rocket League Championship Series of the Spring Split. I know it's quite a bit of a mouthful, but there is no easy acronym, so bear with me. I'm going to break this video down into 3 parts to keep you guys up to date on what's actually going on in the Rocket League scene. We have 3 splits, fall, winter, and spring. We are now in the Spring Split, and it is a circuit-based style system. So we're going to talk about the format. We're then going to talk about what's actually happening in both North America and Europe. Then I'm going to talk about the standings and tell you basically who's still in the running for the World Championship sometime, hopefully in June. We don't know exactly with the whole pandemic thing going on. So first things first, let's talk about the format. For those that are unaware, Rocket League has entered a circuit-style format for the first time in its 5 years of esports history. We have 3 splits, fall, winter, and spring. And within every single split, there is 3 regional events. These events are an accumulation of points that allow you to then go to a major event. And after all this stuff goes by, whoever has the most points at the end of it, if you're in the top 6 in North America or Europe, you get to go to a world championship. Because we're in the 3rd and final split, everything is worth more. There's less teams that are able to compete, and it's really coming down to the wire. And we'll discuss who those teams are at the very end of the video to kind of give you an idea who you should be paying attention to. So let's talk about the first regional that went down last weekend. We've got North America and Europe. We're going to go in chronological order and start with Europe as their stuff happened 2 weeks ago. Every single split has its own unique format, and for the spring split, it is a round robin into a double elimination into a single elimination. Basically, there is no reason the best team is not going to win. In Europe, we've got 4 groups of 5 playing in a round robin stage to figure out who the top 4 teams that will progress to the double elimination. In Group A, we've got Team BDS, Team Queso, Galaxy Racer, Aether, and Pirates. In Group B, we've got Solary, Team Vitality, Godsmilla's team, Endpoint, and Alpha AF. In Group C, we've got Top Blokes, Rix.GG, Dignitas, Team Liquid, and Train Hard Esport. In Group D, we've got Giants Gaming, Guild Esports, Team Singularity, White Demons, and 3 Musketeers. These teams are playing in a round robin stage, so they will play 4 matches total over the course of 2 days, battling each other as much as they can, and the teams that are in the top 4 end up progressing through. If you look at the graphic, you should be able to see that you've got Pirates, Alpha AF, Train Hard Esport, and 3 Musketeers not doing the best, and they have been eliminated. We then go take into the next step, which is technically the 3rd day, and we go into the Knockout Gauntlet, which is a double elimination bracket. In this, if you are one of the top 2 seeds from groups, you get an automatic bye, and you only need to win 1 match to progress. The teams that are the lower seeds, which is teams 3 and 4, have to play in 2 matches, and it is single elimination for them. If they lose, they are knocked out. The teams that qualified for Europe into the final playoff bracket are Team BDS, the best team in the region considerably, Solary, Team Vitality, Giants Gaming, and then from the lower bracket, Guild Esports, Aether, White Demons, and Godsmilla's team. Quite a bit of an upset. Some of these teams were not expected to make it through. A fan favorite in Top Blokes, who recently acquired funding, as a similarity to a team like Team Secret in Dota, where they are their own organization and their own backing. They are considered a top 4 team in the region and actually did not qualify, so a big upset there. You also see a team like Team Queso that has been trending in a really upward direction as a top 6 team, top 8 team in the region, also falling short to a kind of a leftover collective in Godsmilla's team, where a bunch of players that were kind of pushed aside and removed from their starting rosters coming together as a collective and qualifying and making a really good run. We then get into the playoffs, which is the 4th and final day, which is a single elimination bracket where everybody plays best of 7s. And in this bracket, you saw Team BDS go against White Demons, Giants Gaming go against Aether, Solar going against Godsmilla's team, and Team Vitality going against Guild. The results went pretty much as expected. The big surprise, though, was that Solary got 4-0'd by this ragtag team of Collective that ended up beating them in a clean sweep. Series was close, but again, that is the beauty of Rocket League, the capability for any team at any given moment to surprise and have that any given Sunday moment. In the semifinals, fan favorite Team BDS ends up beating Giants Gaming, a team considered top 4. And then Team Vitality, a world championship title team, a team that is built on success and an all-French roster, ends up beating Godsmilla's team, to where we get another grand final between Team BDS and Team Vitality, which we have seen pretty much every single time throughout the entire season. Team BDS, the most dominant team in Europe, ends up winning yet again 4-2, and they claim the regional title along with $30,000. Final thoughts on Europe, pretty straightforward. The teams that I considered were going to be in the top 4 were in the top 4, except for one. Godsmilla's team played upset throughout the entire tournament, which was quite exciting, and it actually means a lot for opening up the window to a lot of the teams that are fighting for those final 6 spots for the World Championship. Let's jump over to North America, where it's the exact same format, just North American teams. In Group A for North America, you've got Energy, Kansas City Pioneers, Pittsburgh Knights, Oxygen Esports, and Stromboli. Group B, you've got Envy, Sonics, United, 72 Pin Connector, and Alpine Esports. In Group C, you've got FaZe Clan, recently acquired the Peeps. In Group C, you've got FaZe Clan, who recently acquired the Peeps. Version 1, Charlotte Phoenix, Space Station Gaming, and Pride Stark Empire. And in the fourth and final group in Group D, you've got G2 Esports, Rogue, Ghost Gaming, Xset, and Nefarious. The 4 teams that had been eliminated from the groups are Stromboli, Alpine Esports, Pride Stark Empire, and Nefarious. Groups going pretty much as expected. The big surprise, mostly in Group D, is Rogue, who has been red hot, actually dropping matches to teams that they shouldn't be and faltering a little bit. But as what we've seen in the past is when Rogue gets going in the further stages of the bracket, they look almost unstoppable. We look into the knockout round, which is on the 3rd day, and we've got our 8 teams. Our 8 teams that progress into the final playoff bracket are going to be Rogue, Envy, Sonics, and G2 Esports qualifying in the upper bracket. Big upset there was FaZe Clan dropping to Sonics, team that is currently without a 3rd starter. Recently, J. Russ, their player, decided to retire in pursuit of going to school. Roldes was a player who used to play for United, and I personally believe he retired a little bit too early, but so far, so good. In the lower bracket, a big upset for Energy, where they ended up dropping early, ends up qualifying, alongside Version 1, FaZe Clan, who bounces back, and Kansas City Pioneers. Kansas City Pioneers ended up qualifying over Space Station Gaming, another top 5 team in the region, but due to disconnect issues and server issues and losing power, one of their star players in Arsenal had to sub out, and they brought in their sub Sathu, and it wasn't quite enough to end up getting the victory. Looking at the playoff bracket on the 4th and final day is going to be Rogue versus FaZe Clan, G2 Esports versus Version 1, Team Envy versus Kansas City Pioneers, and Sonics versus Energy. Rogue, considered the favorite as of late after winning the previous regional, ended up showing up again huge against FaZe Clan, who put up a resilient fight. The game going all the way to 7 out of 7 and was pretty close to actually going both ways. This FaZe Clan roster, and FaZe has to be pretty happy with the recent addition and how their team has been performing. G2 Esports starts off really strong 3-0 against Version 1, and then Version 1 almost completes the reverse sweep going to Game 7 overtime, where G2 does hold on. And the big story with G2 is the fact that their star player, who has been in since very first season of RLCS, Rizzo, is actually retiring. This is going to possibly be his very last regional that he competes in his 6-year career. Team Envy and Kansas City Pioneers, also another big upset. Team Envy, considered probably the 3rd best team in the region, ends up getting upset in 7 against Kansas City Pioneers, a team that recently has actually been in quite a bit of a slump, but picked up a new coach that seems to be having an immediate impact. As for Sonics and Energy as the last game in the quarterfinals, Energy gets upset again by Sonics after they just came off a major win. They were considered probably one of the best teams in the region, and for them to fall here is actually very surprising because they are going up against a team that is using a coach. As we get into the semifinals, Rogue goes up against G2 and doesn't look like any chances of slowing down. And when we talk about the eye test as commentators in esports, there's sometimes where you watch a series played and you're like, that team is going to win. And you kind of jump the gun in your prediction. Rogue gave us that level of performance where everything they wanted to do was coming together. And a lot of it was due to First Killer, their star player. A player that has a ton of mechanical brilliance, but is starting to use that to set up his teammates rather than being selfish with the play. On the other side of the semifinals, Kansas City Pioneers and Sonics battle it out, and Kansas City Pioneers says out of sight, out of mind to Sonics and gives them a 4-0 clean sweep. In the grand finals, it is Rogue versus Kansas City Pioneers, and it honestly felt that if Envy and Energy, teams that are considered in the top 3, were not able to make it to the grand finals, Rogue was going to have no trouble yet again. And for a roster that has really broken the hearts of their fans for quite a while, where sometimes the results are excellent and sometimes they are hit and miss, this team has really come together and solidified themselves as one of the best, if not the best, in North America. They win back-to-back regionals, and congrats to them because that is not an easy thing to do. So your winners in Europe, you've got Team BDS. Again, this is pretty common, and you'll see this by the results. They've actually already qualified for the World Championship. They have 70 points. And in North America, you've got Rogue getting another victory. This is back-to-back regionals for them. So as we take a look at the rankings, right now what's important as we get down to the third and final part of this video is who has a chance to make it to the World Championship. We are in the final split, so points are rewarded more. You also have less teams that can compete. And there's a lot of different aspects that go into who really has a chance to earn those points, assuming everybody else is going to perform as standard. In North America, your top 6 teams at the current moment are Energy, Envy, Rogue, Space Station Gaming, FaZe Clan, and G2 Esports. Realistically, there's maybe 1 or 2 other teams that can make a push into the final 6 spots, being Kansas City Pioneers and Alpine Esports. They are still behind by 100 plus points, while Alpine is behind by 400, but winning a regional event gives you 451. So if one team has a bad performance and you take their spot, it immediately jumps you up into the ranks. Right now, it does feel like 5-6 are very close, where FaZe Clan has 1850 points and G2 has 1830 points. So those spots are definitely up for grabs, while the top 4 being at 2500 plus are pretty much out of reach. So in my personal opinion, the 4 teams that have a chance still to make it into the World Championship are going to be a fight between FaZe Clan, G2 Esports, Kansas City Pioneers, and Alpine Esports. Everybody else needs to have a miraculous run, and the top dogs also need to perform under. It's going to be a tough feat for some of those other teams. If we look over at the European region, Team BDS is at the top, and to kind of explain their dominance, their point total is 3,909 points, and the next closest is Team Vitality in second place with 2,731. You're talking a 1,200 point difference already, and we still have so much Rocket League to go. Team BDS, because of their point guarantee, qualified for the World Championship before the final split even started. That is just how dominant they've been. The 5 remaining teams right now are Team Vitality, as I mentioned, Top Blokes, Giants Gaming, Dignitas, and Guild Esports. The exciting thing about this is both the 5 and 6 spot are also only 20 point different over in Europe. You've got Dignitas and Guild both fighting for 5 and 6, and behind them is actually a handful of teams that are very, very close in the point standings. Realistically, if I had to say, Dignitas, Guild Esports, Endpoint, Galaxy Racer, Solary, and Team Queso are all fighting for 2 spots. There's a lot of competition, and a lot of these teams are trending in a good direction. So for Dignitas and Guild to hold on is going to be very difficult, and is exciting for us as fans, because as it comes down to the wire, you never know what can happen. This has been Lawler on behalf of esports.gg. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about the rankings, as well as what's going on in the scene, you can always tweet at me at LawlerTV on all social medias. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. But even better yet, if you guys have questions about the article, as well as everything else going on in the video, make sure you leave a comment and reply down below. And while you're there, always give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on all things esports related.